A few years back, a very dear relative of mine passed away. I'm not going to name him or even specifically identify his relationship with me, because I have a feeling that the content of this video is probably going to implicate him unfairly. I inherited his library, which is a pretty extensive collection of books, and I found this being used as a bookmark in a Mormon text that didn't seem to have been opened for about 30 years. This is a little gem that I've had hidden away for a long time. I've never been able to part with it, as it seemed very special at the time, and I use the word special begrudgingly. This is The Hidden Tyranny, the issue that dwarfs all other issues. What you see here is a very lengthy political tract implicating Jews in America as conspiracy organizers of a New World Order style World Communist Party. Does that sound familiar? Well, it should, because shockingly, it bears a strong resemblance to a lot of the conspiracy theories that you see out there today. The ones that say the media is controlling your mind, that the Illuminati is going to institute their New World Order, that they're going to bring about the Antichrist. I'm calling out two very specific YouTubers here, because I feel what they're doing is so incredibly dangerous. And the ones I'm going to name are Red Pill Revolution and the Vigilant Christian. I have no doubt in my mind that these men believe that what they're doing is principled, possibly even moral. But in the court of public opinion, it is extremely important to take these conspiracy theories and rip them to shreds and expose them for what they are. These guys have massive followings for the things that they are purporting. Things like the Ebola hoax. Things like subliminal messages in the performances of modern artists. Things like Satanism in the media with a very, very loose definition of Satanism, Vigilant Christian. Why am I bringing this up, though? I'm considering this project to be a look at viral disinformation, because disinformation is just as contagious as real facts. It's just changed the way that it's transmitted. This thing was a tract that obviously got spread all over the place in my relative's time. The fact is he held on to it. I don't know if he held on to it because he agreed with it. I was pretty close to him, and I never heard him espouse any anti-Semitic rhetoric. Never anything like that. But I want to read a very specific paragraph to you from this and ask you, and I'll provide links to their channels below, not because I want to promote them, more because I want more analysis of what they're saying. Listen to this. This is a supposed interview with a Jew who was giving some insight into the New World Order and how it works. It is an established rule to destroy all members of pre-existing government, their families and relatives, but never Jews. They destroy all members of the police, state police, army officers, and their families. But communists within its borders, they are really attempting to uncover Jews in their area. We're not fooled. The invisible rulers in the communist countries have a world control over the propaganda and the governments in free countries. We control every media of expression, including newspapers, magazines, radio and television, even your music. We censor the songs released for publication long before they reach the publishers. Before long, we will have complete control of your thinking. You see, there's absolutely nothing to substantiate any of this. This is literally just a piece of paper that was being circulated in the 50s. And 50s or 60s. I don't exactly have a date on it. Oh, actually, it's copyright 1978. Excuse me, it wasn't that long ago. So, wow, I never even checked the date on it. Now, this was how this information was being disseminated back before people like Red Pill Reveloution could find a very large audience by himself by throwing videos together. And I'm pretty sure this was probably just as effective at spreading as Mr. Red Pill Reveloution and Vigilant Christian. However, this actually took a great deal of effort to put together and probably time. Now, I'm bringing this up again. It's the exact same points being spread around 20 years ago. And the reason I really wanted to bring this up and make a video about it is because I recently saw a video on Red Pill Revolution's webpage that had footage from the Ferguson riots expressing suspicion of all the major news outlets. There's plenty of reason to not trust the news outlets, but it's not because they're being controlled by Jews. I mean, you can take issue with the accuracy and the agenda of news outlets. Yes, 100%. Go for it. You know, God bless you. But when you got people in the streets screaming, "Don't listen to the Jew media," that is not new. That is a very, very frightening contagion. A sickness that leads to atrocity. And it's frightening to me how this stuff never really went away. You go back to World War II, it's exactly the kind of trick that, Nazi Germany was pulling when it was trying to frame the political narrative in the interpretation of World War I. So, again, it's not very productive to call out Red Pill Reveloution and Vigilant Christian and be insulting to what they perceive to be the truth, but rather to take the points and rip them apart piece by piece, methodically, a little bit at a time. Understand the context with which they are coming from, and also try to make a much broader claim as to the power of information and what bad logic is doing to YouTube. Now, the freedom of speech is an ideal that I hold very close to my heart. So while I see it as incredibly destructive and frightening when people question the veracity of an Ebola outbreak based upon the color of shirts people wear, or grainy footage from news about how people are acting while they're infected, claiming to be crisis actors, that is the single most frightening thing that I've ever heard in my life, because it requires a complete suspension of empathy for what is being seen. The idea that you would question the veracity, I keep using that word because truth is just not powerful enough in this instance, but the fact that people would question the suffering coming out of Africa based upon a few video clips is hubris at best. At worst, it's near sociopathic. I mean, I really will go that far. Even if it was true that these people were crisis actors, even if it was true that this incredible narrative that they're putting together, the first response to the image should be empathy as to the possibility of the situation. And as for the overarching narrative about the Ebola vaccine causing zombies, what the hell? Like, these guys are basing most of their theories on images in pop culture and films and movies saying that the Illuminati are using predictive programming to plant images in our mind so that we will have a particular attitude when we see it in real life. holy crud, that's a stretch. Like, I don't think brainwashing works that way. Brainwashing requires a very, very intense suspension of will through a variety of means. I mean, brainwashing is a really hard thing to do. Subtle bombardment of images is not going to shape your overall attitude to how events unfold. It's so unbelievably full of assumptions that it is literally impossible to reconcile them with each other. So that when the Ebola zombies don't show up, and when the vaccine is pushed to people who are in the infected area, things like healthcare workers, they're never, ever going to account for the ways that they are wrong. They will only make a new part of the narrative. This is exactly what we had in the pamphlets. This is exactly what was happening with the protocols of the elders of Zion. I really would like to know if Red Pill Revolution and Vigilant Christian believe that the protocols of the elders of Zion are true. Because are you implicating Jews in an Illuminati-style conspiracy? And how do you reconcile the morality of what you're suggesting there? It's frustrating, but it's fascinating. Because, like, my most inner urge is to approach this with indignation, to go on the attack, and to be angry at the very destructive ways that they are shaping the narrative. Pulling energy, contemplation, pulling mental effort away from the real problems of society, the real horrors that haunt us, to what at best seems to be a fantasy. Some type of strange paranoia that can never be completely proven, but only surmised, with a very complicated string of images and patterns and relationships that only relate to each other in a purely causal sense. It is the death of the logical proof that causation does not always, correlation does not always equal causation. It is a absolute breakdown of the sanctity of logic. And there are only two broken links in the chain. And from there, so much more damage is being done to the conversation about things that truly matter. So, for me, this is the intro. This is the beginning of what I hope to be a series of videos very closely analyzing these two. Responding to their claims, responding to the religious nature of Vigilant Christian, and hopefully assuaging the paranoia of Red Pill Revolution. Because ultimately, I believe that if you want to change the world and you want to make things better, the priority is not saving the world from some abstract, threatening monster from outside your perspective. The most important facet of this is a strong, central understanding of logical, rational morality. And that's something that these two are grossly, grossly lacking. More later.